Hi, everybody. Welcome to Juice Talks podcast. I'm Makenna, and today I'm here with
Trisha.
And VNA.
All right. So recently we just had Jesus Rally, and then we
Yes.
have the convention coming up. So everyone sign up if you haven't already. But today we'll be talking about the Jesus Rally. So thank you. You guys.
So I was there, and it was my first event for the youth group. And honestly, I loved it so much. Literally, I don't know why, but it felt so nice to just be around, some people. Well, most of the kids were younger than me, but,
Wait, how old are you?
I'm 16.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So what grade are you in?
I'm a sophomore.
Okay.
Yeah, and then all the kids were just, so tiny, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, they looked so tiny.
There was a few older.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I was there, and then, with the, with the pastor, the sermon, it was, I don't know what it's called. Yeah, the message, sermon. I don't know if sermon was the right word. But with the sermon,
Yeah.
I feel like that was really cool about the football thing. And then, when we started, worshiping and stuff at the end, I walked up there, and I was just like, okay, I'm just going to give it my all. And I did. And, it felt really good. And it felt really good to just be there. And it felt like it was just you and God, by yourself. It didn't feel like anybody else was around. And I was just sitting there with my head down and my knees. And I was just, just praying. And it felt really good.
Amen. What was
Yeah.
your biggest takeaway from that?
I
From
think-
Jesus Rally?
yeah,
Because
I
this is the
feel
first
like-
time you guys do something like that, right? Or
Yeah,
something? I don't know.
Well, they've had, you guys have had conventions, right?
Yeah, but I don't know about the rally.
Yeah, this is the first rally that we've had. Yeah. But I know that for the, I think my biggest thing was probably just, I wrote down all of the notes.
Share them.
For the thing. I literally wrote down everything.
Yes. Share
And
share with us what you...
yeah, so
What
the
you got?
thing, the thing was he said your table is ready.
Yeah, the title.
Call it.
Mhm.
And then he was talking about Stephen and Acts, and then he was just talking about there's only 4% of Christians in Gen Z,
Yeah.
which is so crazy. Did you know that? Only 4%.
That's insane.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
4%?
And they only asked. He was saying that the people that were asking the questions, he only asked 3 simple questions, and it was just what?
I think it's do you believe that
Yeah.
God is real or
Yeah,
something?
or where will you go when you die?
Yeah, where would you go when
Yeah.
you die?
Yeah, and only
And-
4 people answered those biblically. Yeah.
It's crazy, right?
Yeah.
That's insane.
It's sad.
That's insane.
I would have thought it would be more than that.
Exactly, because I feel like everybody who I know is just like a Christian, and who is just so
This goes off of Jesus Rally a little bit, but building off your thing, I feel like people say they're Christians, but they don't actually
I was about to say
Yeah.
that because it's so many people can claim that, but
Yeah.
it doesn't mean that they actually live
Right.
that lifestyle. So, I mean, I feel what do you guys consider someone that's a sold out Christian believer, someone that actually loves Jesus? What would you describe that as?
Here.
Just take one.
Guys, you guys put me on the spot. I think my perspective is somebody who just is so deep into faith that nothing can break that, or I know sometimes people fall short and stuff,
Yeah.
but that's gonna happen.
Right.
But I just think people who have strong faith, who read their Bible, who constantly are in prayer, and when something hard happens, they turn to Jesus instead of away from Jesus. That's
Yeah.
right. That's right.
I would say someone that doesn't just live a Sunday morning relationship with God, someone that carries
Yes.
that every single day, and they're a representation of God. Yeah, you were saying, they fall short, but they just get right back up, because I know in the Bible it says the righteous fall, but they get up, and so that's what I feel, and I feel like you shouldn't I don't know how to say this, they carry themselves with confidence, respect, they have a
Yes.
glow to them, you know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Other people, they have respect, but then they're I'm just gonna do this because the world's doing it.
Yeah.
It's just there's a difference between them.
There is, and I think that comes that confidence that you're speaking about. I think it really does come from being with Jesus.
Oh, yeah.
Spending time with Jesus, being in your Word, and I think it's very easy to look at your peers and people that call themselves Christians and identify where they're at with their walk with the Lord. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That there's people that are that person is solid. You
Yeah.
can tell that person prays. You can tell that person knows their identity in Jesus. And then there's other people that are they're just doing it for the hype
Right.
or because
Yeah.
everyone else is doing it.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I just think that there's always a difference that, you can tell when
Yeah.
people spend time with Jesus. So
I feel like I based off also how people act. Like, I'll see like the basic like bio verse and the bio verse in a bio,
Yes.
and I'm just like, okay, but like, are you really Christian? Like, are you really like living for Jesus?
Yes.
Christian school, like the school, like everyone would think that like it's Christian school, but no.
No, that's how it is. Yeah, my husband also went to like a faith school, and I mean, you would think that people live for Jesus, but they don't. They're either forced by their parents or
Exactly.
they have no option but to do it.
I know that like I started like trying to be friends with them,
Mm-hmm.
cause like I was trying to before I came to these youth groups. So I've only been here for a year, and I started going in there, and I was just like, hey, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, you're not supposed to do that. Like,
Ooh, yeah, that's another hot topic because people
Yeah.
don't like being called out. Like,
Yeah.
they'll be around, but then whenever people start calling out their like unholiness or their sin, they're like, ooh, I'm not gonna be friends with you anymore because
Right,
because
right.
I'm not. Yeah, it's crazy because then they'll be like, no, she's actually living for Jesus
Yeah,
and she
100%.
wants me to live for Jesus, but
Yeah.
I don't want that yet. So I'm just gonna not be friends with her.
It's like when people are young, they think they can like they want to do whatever they want. Like, and they're like, oh, I'll just do it. Like, I'll go to God later. And it's like that's not really how it works.
I think
Like,
that's the number one reason.
It
Like, if you were to
100%
ask me,
is.
like, I would say that I'm a youth pastor,
Mhm.
and so there's so many young people that have told me they just want to have fun right now.
Right.
They'll come to Jesus later. They'll follow Jesus later whenever they get their life more serious or when
Yeah.
they get older. But it's like, you don't know if Jesus is gonna come back tomorrow. He
Right.
can come back today if he wanted to. You
Right.
know what I mean? You don't have time to just put that aside. But I also feel like they feel like they're missing out on something.
Right. Yeah.
But you're not missing out on anything. I mean,
Nothing. Like, it's not as fun as people like think it is. Like, I feel like it only like brings guilt and dread later. Like,
Yes.
you're just ruining your body with all that intoxication
Mhm.
you're taking in as well. Like, it's not going to be fun when you're older.
Yeah.
I'm so tired. Like I went through that phase where I
Yeah.
thought everything was like sunshine and rainbows if I went and did this with my friends and if I went to parties and this and that. But it's not. It's
Yeah.
not.
And that's the part that people don't show. I'm sorry, I keep cutting you off.
No, it's okay. No, seriously.
No, that's the part that people don't show. Like, everyone would show like the parties and the drinking and going out and like showing your body and all this, but then no one talks about how they're depressed and
Right.
have anxiety and how that party, they woke up the next day and they were
I would
hungover.
come back from the party and I would just be laying
It's
in my
just
bed
w- it's
and I would just
worse.
feel, like, so like weird.
Why?
Yeah.
Like, why did I do that? Yeah.
Like, I would feel instant regret.
Yeah.
Instant regret.
I feel
Yeah.
like the partying, the drinking, it only makes it worse. Like, you're only filling that little void for like 5 minutes, an hour at
Yeah.
most, and then you're like I'm just feel worse about it, like how it was, and you just want to keep going back, and that's how addictions start because you feel it
You
takes
just-
away that
yep.
pain, and it doesn't. It only
Yep.
makes it worse.
Yep. And then you just keep going back and back, and
Yeah.
it just never satisfies until
Exactly.
then you decide one day, okay, let me try Jesus. And
Right.
and then you find true freedom.
That's exactly how it is. Exactly
it's
how
the
it
worst,
is.
but
I don't know. And I feel like people, they just want to have fun, but I feel like you can have fun without doing all of that. Like, I've been called boring so many times because I don't want to, and I'm just like, whatever, like,
you're the boring one because you need
Right,
alcohol and you're the one
right.
that needs drugs to have fun. I don't.
Also, the people who you surround yourself with. Like, don't surround yourself. Oh, thank you. Don't surround yourself with people who need to use substance to be happy.
yeah.
Like, it's at the end of the day, like, yeah, we all have a choice, but if you hang around the barbershop, you'll eventually get a haircut. And-
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
And so it's like, don't surround yourself with people who are constantly drinking and smoking and doing drugs and doing this and partake in sexual activities or talking to multiple boys or multiple girls, because at the end of the day, you're going to see what they're doing and you're going to be like, oh, look at their life though, and then you're going to become envious and you're going to become like, oh, wait, maybe if I try that, maybe I should do it. Like, they're having fun. No, they're not having fun because they're not going to show you the side where they're sitting in the room alone and crying,
Right. Yeah.
So it's just
Right. And like I feel like social media has a big take on that because like you're seeing it all over, but it's so fake and it creates such like a fake like front, and you don't know what they're actually like. You think they're having fun and they're going home and actually like sitting on the floor crying.
Seriously.
And you don't see that part because social media doesn't show it.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
that's why social media is so
it takes
bad.
someone that's like truly like just tired of that. Like I think of all these people that are like, I want to be different, I want to be different, but everyone's doing the same things. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like you are just following everyone else doing drugs
Exactly.
and sleeping around, or you know what I mean? And it's like, it takes someone that's bold. That's
Yeah.
like, you know what? I don't want to be like you. I want to be different. I don't want to be like what you guys are going through. I
Right.
want to be different. I want to find Jesus. So
Exactly. Exactly.
It took a lot out of me. Like, a lot out of me. I know that, like, I remember I came here and I was talking to the twins. The twins made me, they, like, I saw the way that you, Hannah, Cassie, and the twins were so involved with the Lord. And I was like, that's not who I am. And then I remember I started getting into my word, and I started praying, and I started asking myself, what if? Like, what if? And then I started, like, I was like, okay, you know? And, like, people are going to leave your life. People are going to leave your life.
yeah.
But at the end of the day, do you really want someone in your life who's going to treat you horrible or who's going to set you up for bad things? I know I don't. I know you don't. And I definitely know you don't. So, like, it's just, like, why would you surround yourself with people like that? You know?
I think sometimes people just rather have like friends that are fake, even or toxic or bad, just to have the comfort of knowing that like I at least have people around me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I would rather have people that are toxic and like all these things, you know, but I don't want to be lonely, or I don't want to
Right.
be left out, or I don't want to miss out. So I'm just gonna stick it out with these people, which is so bad, you know?
I feel like I've lost so many relationships because I'm just like I don't want to deal with like that fakeness, because like it's not something like I put up with. I'm just like, if you're gonna talk crap, like just say it. Like I just want people to tell me to my face.
Yeah.
Like I just want someone to be real with me.
Yes.
And so I feel like I'd rather have fewer friends that are gonna be real with me and hold me
Mm-hmm.
accountable than people who are gonna encourage like the fakeness and like the gossiping, like the going around. Like I'd rather have real friends than like
Real friends
so
that-
many fake ones. Like it, I don't want a crowd. I don't want to entertain people.
It gets old.
It does.
too.
It gets old so fast.
So it's like, whatever.
Right.
And then once you let somebody do one thing to you, it's just going to keep happening. Like, if you confront somebody, like, oh, why were you talking to me about me? Come on. And then they're going to be like, oh, I'm sorry, like, it wasn't even like that. And then they're going to go do it again.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like, you can't let people treat you that way. You have to
Yeah.
just let them be.
Mm-hmm.
Let them do whatever they want to do. Plant that seed and leave. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what.
What do you guys think is like the biggest challenge for like young people when coming to Jesus, or like why do you think?
I feel like there's so many factors. I feel like it's just people don't want to give up like what they're doing to make themselves feel happy, like gossip or partying. Probably like giving up the things that, like, I don't know how to say this, like things that entertain the world. Yeah. Popular things that entertain the world and not like your spiritual life.
Yeah, because people make it so, like, they make it so regular now. Like, it's always so regular. Can I hold that? Yeah, sorry. I don't want your
Yeah.
I don't want your arm to get tired. I don't know if you're holding it for me or. Okay, next time you do that, I'm just gonna do it because I felt bad because I didn't.
Please just take it.
I'm sorry. You're fine. But I feel like even with the movies now, like they're so like in music especially, music and movies like have you guys ever heard about that movie like Project X?
Yeah.
Have you guys heard about that movie? Yeah, I watched it too, but it's so nasty. But like people like those are teenage boys and teenage girls doing things, and then people like they'll post movies, they'll post videos, they'll post things, they'll post about these parties, and it's like other people see that and be like, oh my gosh, I want to be included so bad, because people want to be and I'm not gonna lie, like sometimes I want to be included too, you know, like yeah, I hate not being included in certain things, you know, but like at the end of the day, like I don't want to be included in that thing, you know. And like yeah, like if I'm like people, I don't know the word, like people made it seem like it was okay. People make it seem like that stuff is okay.
normal.
Yeah, it's a normal thing now. Like, it's so normal to just drink while driving, drink
that's so
and
true.
smoke underage, you know?
Yeah.
Like, you're not even old enough to do that stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
That's so
why are you
true.
doing that, you know? Like,
Yeah.
people.
Sorry.
It's
I just,
okay.
this just came to my head. I feel like people just don't want to go like to God and like realize what he's doing because like the devil made it seem so like regular in their heads, but everything he's doing is right. And like it's okay to do that. Like it's not messing you up at all. It's making you happy. It's making you like have fun. Like you should keep doing it on the weekends and not focus on what's actually happening. Like I feel like that's just engraved in people's heads now, and they just like don't realize like God's the only one that's gonna like fill that void and like actually make you happy. That's actually gonna bring you like realness to your life, like fill that void in your heart. Like that's the only thing, and people just don't realize that, or they don't want to realize that because it takes away from what other people are doing, and they just want to feel
Yes,
included
yeah.
in something. That's what I feel. They just want to feel included in something, and they feel they're not gonna get that once they stop drinking and doing all this because that's what like 95% of the population is doing.
Yeah. Which I'm not even gonna lie, like when that was me, like I was so scared that I wasn't gonna have any friends. Like I was so scared. And then
that's a
now-
real thing.
Yeah,
That is a real thing.
Yeah, I was so scared that I wasn't gonna have any friends. People were gonna stop talking to me because I was like I kept me like believing in Jesus a secret for like 2 months. And like people would talk to me and like I'd be like, yeah, I'm Christian. Like, yeah, I'm Christian. But I wouldn't tell them like I am a Christian. You know, like I wouldn't tell them like that. Like and like it's scary to think that, oh, nobody's going to trust me. Nobody's going to be my friend. Nobody's going to do this because I believe in God. Like, nobody's going to do this. Nobody's going to do that. But now I have some of the most amazing relationships that I have, like, because of the Lord. Like, you know, like, and, like, back to, like, the boring thing that you said, you know, like, it's not boring. Like, you know, like, people find enjoyment out of whatever you do. Like, if you're hanging out with the right person, I promise you, you will find the best joy and pure happiness literally just reading the Bible with your friend. You know, like getting coffee and reading the Bible, just to like the tiny things will make it happy. And like color in your Bible, like that's what I do. I color in my Bible, you know, like make it fun.
I love reading the Bible and like making my notes. Like I just love highlighting and writing. Like when once I see a page that I've written on, like I have my Bible, I'll show you guys. It is I like looking at it and like just seeing all the notes, and like I was like, this makes me so happy to see like I'm understanding the word and I'm writing it. Like it brings like a fulfillment. Like I just love seeing it so much.
I mean, I think just like spending time with the Lord and just being with Jesus, like I don't really think there's anything outside of that like you don't need activities, you don't need like all these like substances. You could just be with Jesus, and like that alone just brings joy. That alone, like you find comfort in that. You find literally everything that the world is looking for just in your time with Jesus and spending time with him, being with him, being in your purpose. Obviously, I feel like once you spend time with the Lord and he gives you like, I feel like everyone, well, I know everyone has a specific purpose, a specific call. I feel like once you step into that, I think that's like the greatest joy, you know what I mean? The greatest like reason to live, you know what I mean? It's like everyone is looking for that one thing that's like, I want to find purpose, and like they're looking for it in all these different, they're looking for identity and purpose and joy. But the Lord, like, he already has a plan for you. He already has a purpose for you. All you have to do is just tap into it. You know what I mean? Tap into to the Lord and spend time with him. But I think it's wild, and I think to me it's sad to see how many people are like, I don't want that right now. I don't want that right now. But what encourages me is the people that are willing to like, that is like the Jesus rally. I think it is so encouraging to be like in a room full of people, young people that are like, I'm going to do everything in my power. Like, Lord, I want to go after you. Like, how can I share the gospel? How can I share the gospel at school? Like Jesus clubs, or like in my sports team, or whatever it may be. I think everyone's looking for that. You know, everyone's looking for that sense of purpose. And
A home feeling.
yes. And I mean, until they find Jesus, of course, they're not gonna, you know. And so it's encouraging to me. Like yesterday, was it yesterday? Yeah, the Jesus rally, just being there. I'm like, man, the devil will try to convince people that like nobody wants God.
Yeah.
You know that
There's
that
4%.
yes,
Yeah,
there's that 4%.
But guess what?
Yeah, and it's not going to stay at 4, because we're like raising up young people that want to do something for God. not just Sunday morning Christians, you know, not like I'm gonna just show up to youth service, or I'm just gonna show up on a like Monday morning or Sunday morning. But like, no, there's so much more outside of that. Like, there's so much that God has gifted us with, like gifts and talents and abilities to do more for Him. I just think that so many people, I think even like, I'm just rambling right now, but I think even just like young people, even when you are saved, I feel like there is things that you have to overcome.
Oh, 100%.
You know what I mean?
100%,
Like, you can be saved, you can be filled with the Spirit, you can read your word, but there are some things that you still have to deal with. Like, I think a lot of people allow fear to hold them back from their purpose. Like maybe shame or condemnation. Like maybe like you fell short of something, you fell into sin, and like now you feel shame, or maybe sometimes like you don't feel qualified. Like God is, I feel like that's going to be a feeling that people have to continually go like get through. It's like God is calling you to do something and you don't feel qualified.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I don't know, maybe you guys can share some of the things that you guys have had to deal with. But I mean, like for me, it was fear, 100% fear of like man, like what are they gonna think, like what if I mess up, what if I'm like, or you compare yourself to people that are like doing so much more or have reached like hundreds of people, and like every time they speak it's like it's so perfect or whatever, and then you look at yourself and you're like,
Right. Yeah.
I'm definitely not like that. I'm not there yet. So like that was it for me. It was just like comparing myself or fear. But I mean, I would want to hear like, what are some of yours that you feel like?
So for me, I mean, I have a few, because like I'm a teenage girl that lives in a society like this. So I feel like for me, it would be like what other people think. Like what if it doesn't go along with like what people want for me? Because like I feel like people have a plan, like they want you to follow it, and I'm just like, well, that's not like actually what I'm supposed to do. Like, what if they reject me? What if they just like they don't want to be my friend or anything like this? Because I feel like I'm not a people pleaser, but I definitely do want to make people like happy a lot. And so I'm like, what if it doesn't meet up to like their expectations and it's not as good as they want it to be? I feel like I also have like my own plan that I want to follow instead of God's plan. And like what if it doesn't match God's plan, but I want it to be this way? Like what if I choose my own plan instead of His? And then like I guess like temptations from like before I was saved, like that was a big one. And like having to turn away from that even if like my flesh wants it, you know. I think those are my top 3 probably.
I think mine is definitely like not fear. I don't think like I fear. Sorry, I just sneezed. Do I have to sneeze? No, I think I'm good now. Now that I said no, I did, but I don't think like fear of man is something. I feel like it's just like the fear of like I reflect on the past a lot. That's what I do. I reflect on the past a lot, like about like certain things that like I've been through in my life, and like I just question myself if I'm gonna be good enough for God. That's what like my thing is like, what if like I do this and then He doesn't forgive me, you know? Or like what if I do this and then it's like I'm scared to fall back into what I did. I'm very terrified to fall back because
Like your old way of living.
yeah, like my sister, she's not as like yoked. And like I'm scared that one day she's gonna fall into back how we used to be, and then because we live by each other, we live by each other, but we don't go to the same school at all. And her school is corrupt, and I'm scared that she's gonna be influenced to do something, and then she's gonna bring that to me, and I'm gonna be scared that I'm gonna be influenced by her, and I don't want just anybody really. I don't want to be influenced by anybody anymore. And it's just scary to think that, like, what if one day I'm with my friends who I think are good, and then boom, like, they pull out something, and I'm just like, they're doing it. Should I just do it? You know?
Yeah.
Like, I'm really scared about that. Or, like, about, like, a part of me thinks a lot about my old life. Like, a lot. Like in a way that it's just like so much has changed, And like my walk with God hasn't been the easiest, you know? And like when I was doing that stuff, like I used to think that it was so much more easier to just not focus on the Lord. And like I talked to my dad about this like a lot. And like it feels weird knowing that it's not easier from what I used to do than what it is now, because of how much stuff I've been going through as like a Christian, you know? Like cuz like I'll bring people to Christ, you know, I'll do things like that, and then like I'll end up getting hurt, and I won't I'm never angry at God, but I'll ask God like why? You know? Like why are you putting me through these certain things just to hurt me? You know? And like that's what I do a lot. It's like I reflect on the past and reflect how I used to be, because I had a hardened heart in the past and I never got hurt. But like now that my heart is softened, then it's like I'm just constantly. But like, yeah, that's just my thing.
I think those are huge. Like, I think those are really good ones. I think like a lot of young people question God so much for bad and good things. You know what I mean? I think it's also important to know that like we have a choice. You know what I mean? And a lot of the things that happen in our lives or families, it's because of choices that we made. You know, but yeah, I think those are all super valid and super like good and relatable things that young people do. Like, I mean, not even young people. I feel like a lot of just Christians in general, because I think a lot of people think like, oh, you get saved and then like butterflies and rainbows, you know, like everything is, which although I do think that it is, you know, you find freedom and joy and victory and all these things that the world can't give, but there are some things that the Lord has to work out in you, you know, like your heart, forgiveness, like those are things that are you're never gonna stop doing that, like forgiving people, walking in victory, making sure that you're not like shaken by the things of the world and temptations and all those things. I think that those are always things that like no matter how saved you are, there's always going to be an opportunity for you to choose another route. And so I think even for like what you said, like choosing my own thing versus God's, oh my gosh, that was like my life. Like whenever I was in Bible college, like I love the Lord, and I was like, God, I'll do anything for you. I'm like, here, I'll surrender my life. And I was like, I am originally from Texas, and the Lord told me to go to Bible college. That's how I ended up in New York. And I remember I was like, okay, I'm only gonna be here for 2 years. That's what I had planned, because I was like, that's what the Lord said, right? I'm gonna just be here for 2 years. And then my 2 years were done, and the Lord was like, you're not done. I was so ready to go. I'm like, I don't know if you have ever been to New York, like upstate New York, but it's like the middle of nowhere. Where we're from, it's Horseheads, and it's literally a cornfield.
Yeah, we visited there. I went there with the youth group
For conference?
Yeah.
Okay, so you know exactly what I'm talking about.
about.
No, there's like Burger King, Taco Bell, and like, you know, I'm sure you guys had some trouble finding places to eat.
Well, Steven took us to all the places.
All the good
liked.
places that he knew. Yeah, you had the plug, but no, it was like I'm from Houston, Texas, so it's like one of the biggest cities in like the U.S. You know what I mean? So it's like I'm thinking I'm gonna go to like New York City or something, and I end up like with cows and horses and like, you know, I have no Chick-fil-A, no Mexican food, no nothing. And so I just remember like I was so ready to like go home. I was ready. I'm like, I did my time. I had a plan to go back to my home church and like serve there. And the Lord was like, no, you're not. Oh my goodness. I literally, once I made the decision, it was like a thing that like, it's like, you know what God wants you to do, but like you don't want to do it.
Yeah,
You're like, let me take every other way. Like, let me figure this out. Maybe. Yes, like maybe I can do that later, and like let me do this now. I'm like, God, I'm still gonna be serving you, like just not where you want me to. And so I remember that was really tough. I remember I made the decision. I'm like, I'm gonna stay. I went into the sanctuary and I literally cried my eyes out for like I don't know how long, because I'm like, I don't want to do this, but you know, I would rather be in the will of God than anywhere else. Right. That's like that's the best place for you to be, because in the will of God you find purpose, you find joy, you find a fulfillment, you find blessing, you find everything, you know what I mean? And so I just made the decision like, no, I don't care what I have to do. I told the Lord I was going to surrender. I'm going to do what he wants me to do, because I know that this is what I need to do. This is where I need to be. And so I think especially people that are like, especially young people that are in their senior year, huge thing for them. Or are just like, either they do it because of their family, or they do it because they have their own, like what you're saying. They don't want to do what God called them to do. But why wouldn't you want to? Like, what else are you going to find not in the will of God? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I find that the more that I look back at my life is like, oh, God was just training me and equipping me. And like, look at all these people that we've impacted. Look at all these people. I would have never in a million years thought that I would be a youth pastor. Like, I didn't want to be, like, I didn't even care for the youth. Like, I love them, but I'm like, that's not why I went to Bible college for. You know what I mean? I went there because I'm like, I knew that that's where God was calling me, and I don't know what I was going to do. I just knew I was called to ministry. But I'm like, youth? Oh, heck no. I'm not doing that. I'm not dealing with them teenagers. Look at me. You know, I got married, and then we became youth pastors, and I love it. I love it so much. But I wouldn't be here if I would have taken my own path. You know, if I would have taken my own way, who knows where I would have been? Who knows? But major thing that young people deal with, taking their own path.
That's something I like. Like, I'm really scared I'm gonna do that, because like I got called into ministry.
That's
but
awesome.
Right now, like I'm planning to go to a college in Illinois, and like I'm gonna like take like classes, but I'm also taking classes to be a nurse practitioner, and I'm just like.
Ooh.
Because like I want to be in the medical field, but like I also like want to do what God's calling me to do. And like my husband's also like Steven was praying over me. He's like, your husband's also called to ministry. I'm like what do I do? Like what am I supposed to do? Like, because I want to go this way, but like I'm also being called this way. Like, trying to put those together is gonna be hard. But like, am I supposed to just go one, or can I do both? Like, that's my thing.
You know,
Like,
sorry, go ahead.
oh, you're good. I was done.
You know, there is healers though too.
Yeah.
Like, so like you could, like, if you follow this God, like this plan that God has for you, and you want to be in the medical field, and you can do it. I know you can, because you have that strive that like hardly any other people do. But if you do that, then like you could be like one of those, like, do you know the people who like the pastors, you touch them and they healed, you know? Like, you never know what God can do for you, you know? Because I know people who wanted to be in the medical fields, and they couldn't be in the medical field because they wanted to go to Bible college. And now it just causes one touch and they can heal. And that might be what God has for you too, because like you just need to, like, I don't know, that could be what it is.
You literally sound like me whenever I was like, I'm not kidding with the nurse thing, because I was in college to be a nurse.
Oh my god.
I don't even know who's gonna see this, but
I don't know. We get like
at this point
spontaneous
we're just having a conversation.
Right.
But you literally sound like me whenever I moved to New York, because when I got saved, I was already in college. Like, I was 20 years old, and I was already in like college getting my nurse degree. I was like 2 years in. And I moved up here, and my mom and my family, they were like, what are you going to do with a ministry degree? Like, what is that going to get you? Like, where is that going to get you in life, right? Because none of them were, like, really understand, like, God's call and purpose and all that stuff. And so I remember my mom was like, you need to finish your degree, da-da-da-da, whatever. And then I'm like, okay, like, I'll just do it online. But I'm, like, at Bible school full-time, right?
Right.
And so I did that for, like, 1 semester. Because I'm like, this is not what God has for me. Like, he called me to ministry, and I'm going to do that. I can't try to fit in my plan with God's plan. Yeah. Like, God will make it very clear to you.
Yeah.
And if this is one thing that it's like, if you're questioning your purpose, God is not hiding that from you.
Right.
You know, God is, like, when you want to know, he's going to tell you. He's not, like, playing hide and seek, or, like, you have to fast for 30 days, or you have to, like, no, every person in their heart, they already know what they need to do. Yeah. Whether they follow that or not, that's up to them. But they already know in their heart. Like, you probably already know in your heart what you should do. But you probably want to hear from God what you want to do. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so I think that, like, you can look at other people's lives, and maybe there are some people that are, like, Christian and, like, are nurses and share the gospel and yes, there are those people, but did God call you to be like those people?
Right.
And I think sometimes we try to fit the mold of, well, this, it works for this person or this person. Yeah, but what is God speaking to you? Like, what is God saying to you?
Right.
And I think that's one of the biggest like misconceptions in the church with like young people, is that no, you don't just get to choose and do whatever you want, because now you've been saved, you've been called,
Yeah.
you've been purposed, and now you need to do what God wants you to do. You know what I mean? You don't just get to, you could choose to do whatever you want.
Right.
You know, he gives us free will, but too many people try to fit both of those things into one.
Yeah.
And so you could be a nurse and be that if God called you to do that.
Right.
But what does God really want you to do?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, what
Yeah.
what is God actually telling you to do? That's what we need to go with.
It's just like like for myself, like I don't know, like I can see myself like going around like spreading God's word, like that's what I like. I like that, like
Yeah.
I like the sound of that. Like I love spreading the word of God already, like, and like what Steven told me before is like that my husband's gonna do it and that we're gonna co-minister together. Like that's something like I love, like I want to do that. But then I also think like I want to be in the medical field. Like I want to do this. Like I just want to be able to do both and like enjoy it. And like I think to myself, like what if just after college and like here, I'll just tell you my plan so I can like afterwards like go on from there. So I'm trying to get an Army scholarship to go to the college I'm going to for my bachelor's in science of nursing, and then after that join the Army for 8 years. Like that's my plan. But I'm like that's my plan. I'm already applying for scholarships, and like now I get called into ministry, and like what am I supposed to do off that? And like after like my 8 years I was like, okay, I'll just do ministry after that. But like what if like I'm like obviously I'm supposed to do it sooner, so how am I supposed to do that while going to college and like pursuing this already? Like it's just something that's so confusing, and I just want to do my own thing. But it's like I know like is this actually like what I'm supposed to do? Like am I supposed to just ignore like I am supposed to ignore my plans and go on God's plans? But it's just like I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Like I already have this set like to go. Like that's just what I want to do. You know, I don't even. It's so hard to explain. I feel like.
No, I get it 100%. I literally know how you feel.
Yeah, it's just like it's so hard.
No, that's
it's so hard.
No, it is because you have like your life planned out, and you're like, this is what I like want to do. This is, you know, this is success in my eyes. Like this is, I can just see it. Like I'm like planning my future. But I do think it takes a lot of faith to like see God's plan through, because you don't know what that's gonna look like.
Right.
So it's like I feel like so many people, they have that like trust in their own plan and that confidence because they know what it's gonna look like.
Right.
Like you know exactly
Yeah.
how, when, where. But whenever you're like you're called to ministry, it's like, what does that mean?
Right.
Like what? Like I don't know what that means. You know what I
Right.
mean? I didn't know what that meant.
And it's like I just want to be told exactly where I'm supposed to go, exactly what I'm supposed to do, like what college I go to, like what do I do after this, and it's like I'm not being told the exact steps.
Yes.
And I know the exact steps for my plan, but I don't know the exact steps for God's plan.
God's plan.
Control is something I just have a problem with, and handing it over to God.
Yeah.
Like that's my biggest thing,
Yeah.
probably. It's
a lot of
hard.
people do, because it does take faith. You know, like it takes so much faith to
it
like
does.
saying, God, I trust you. I trust that your plan is better than mine. I trust that your plan is way more impactful than mine. But I mean, really, it's like at the end of the day, one day you are going to stand before the Lord, and like you're going to have to give an account for your life and say like, I didn't do this because I did do this because, you know, I didn't want to follow your plan because I was scared. I wasn't sure. Like I wanted control over my life. And I just think I will never stop saying this. It's like, the greatest place to be is the will of God.
Yeah. It is.
And until that becomes real to you, then you'll always just do whatever you want,
Yeah.
you know? So
Yeah. It's hard. It's hard. I'll say that.
yeah,
It's
no,
hard.
it is. It is. I 100%, I understand, especially with like, are you a senior?
Mhm.
Yeah. I think that's like the hardest, most challenging year for a young person that's
Yeah.
lives for the Lord, is because you are at that cross point where you're like, what am I going to do with my life? And it's like so before you.
Yeah.
It's like you have to make the decision. You can't really wait that long, because you're like, people are waiting for you.
Right.
Your parents are probably waiting to see
Yeah.
what you're going to do. And I think it becomes real. Like, what am I going to do with my life?
Right. It's like nerve wracking. Like,
Yes.
What's gonna happen?
And knowing that you're probably going to like disappoint some people.
Yeah.
whether it's like your pastors or your parents or like fam or friends
Yeah.
or whoever's like, you know, around
Yeah.
you. It comes with people are going to be disappointed. People are going to wonder why you picked whichever one.
Right.
But at the end of the day, it's like knowing, am I here to please man or am I here to please God?
Yeah. That's good.
You know,
Yeah.
like, am I here to please man? And I think I think when people know what they need to do and they never do it, they're always going to question themselves, and they're always going to question their life and be like,
Yeah.
what if I would have taken that route?
Right.
What would like my life look like if I did that instead or did this? And there will always be like a certain level of regret, but you don't have to live with that if you just choose right the first
Right.
time. And so, you know, I think for me it was just always like, I told God, and I was serious. I was like, no matter the cost, no matter the cost, no matter, and that's the attitude that you have to take. No matter, there's nothing that I'm withholding from you, God. I'll give you everything. The Bible says, like, if you want to follow God, pick up your cross, like deny
Yeah.
yourself,
Yeah.
deny yourself, and follow Him. And so that does take a lot. It does cost a lot. It's a daily like sacrifice of like, God, whatever I have to do. And you know, I think that whatever attitude you live out, that's the attitude that you're gonna always have.
Yeah.
So like I always told myself and my husband that I would do anything for God. And when did this attitude didn't start whenever this posture of my heart, should I say, this posture of my heart didn't start whenever I was like a youth pastor. It started whenever I was like newly saved. And so I've carried that posture throughout my entire time that I've known the Lord. It's been like 6 years, and I know that that's going to continue. That's going to be the posture of my heart forever. So I would even say to you and to anyone listening, it's, what is the posture of your heart right now? Because right now, if it's like, oh, I'll do a little bit of me, I'll do a little bit of God, you're always going to have that, and you're always going to do that. So just start off on the right path. You know, just start off and say, and ask yourself, do I really want to live for Jesus? Do I really want to live in the purpose and the call that He has for me, or do I just want to like live a average and mediocre life and be like a Sunday Christian?
Right.
You get to decide that. And so I chose, and I would always pray whenever I was in Bible college, and I would say, I knew nothing about where the Lord wanted to take me, what He wanted to do with my life, but I just said, Lord, I would do whatever. I'll go anywhere, I'll do anything, and just use my life. I don't want to be an average Christian.
Yeah.
I don't want, like, that's boring.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's boring. Like, I think like the excitement comes whenever you see like people healed and saved and delivered, and you see people and they're like, oh, it was because you shared that with me that like now I can, you know, I made a decision to do this, or it was because you encouraged me, or it was because whenever you laid hands on me, and like I was, you know what I mean? And it's not so much to like, you know, give you praise, but it's like there's impact that comes from your life. There's influence that comes from your life. And so I always told the Lord, I don't want to live like an average life. Like, I want my life to count for something. You know what I mean? Like, I want there to be people to be impacted by my life. And because I know you, Lord, you know, I want people to know you. And so I think that does cost, you know, and it goes back to one of the things that you said. It's like people are not willing to give up. Even, I mean, the level that we're talking about right now, it's like way deeper, right? Way deeper than where we started. Some people are not even willing to give up like gossip or like drugs. That's like the most basic, like number one level to like even get saved. We're at like, are you willing to give up your plans? You know, like, are you willing to give up like, you know, how far do you want to go with the Lord? So, I think it goes back to that one place. Like, people are just not willing to give up their own plans.
I feel like once you start realizing, and like once you start getting into Christianity and stuff, then it's like, and you hear what people say to you, like Pastor Ryan, like whenever Pastor Ryan will say something about like faith and trust and stuff, or like whenever somebody else would be like whenever my dad is like, gossip is bad, you know, and then you're hanging out with your friends, just hanging out, and you hear them start gossiping, then it'll click in your head, that's wrong. You know, it'll like click in your head. Or like when like an adult is trying to like, because like adults are supposed to be mentors, right?
Supposed to be.
Yeah, they're supposed to be mentors.
Yeah.
Usually, sometimes they're not. Most of the time, but and I'll hear this person will come to me and will talk to me about something, and they'll tell me something that is the complete opposite of what the Bible says.
Oh my gosh, that's the worst.
Yeah, it's literally so bad. Like, she told me that this lady, I grew up with her daughter, and it was just me and her, and she was talking to me, and she tried to do my tarot card reading. Yeah, I said no. I said no. I'm sorry, no, thank you. And she was just like, why? And I was just like, I'm a Christian. Like, I don't believe in witchcraft or anything. And she was just like, but it's not witchcraft. I said, yes, it is. Yes, it is. She kicked me out of her house for disrespect. I didn't disrespect her. I just said that I don't believe in what she believed in. And she kicked me out. But I was only 15.
Yeah.
She kicked me out of her. It was really crazy. But at the end of the day, like, I'm glad she did.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad she kicked me out of her house. Yeah, cause well, she didn't even give me a reason. She didn't let me tell her about the gospel or anything like that. But she kicked me out so quick, cause she got so angry. Cause people get so angry whenever you bring up the gospel, which I don't know why. You know, cause it's just so. Yeah. The gospel's so joyful. Yeah. You know. Yeah.
Yeah. To some people, you know, I think it offends their lifestyle.
Yeah.
And I think that's why people are like, "Oh, I have to change."
Yeah. I know the first time I felt the joy of the Lord. I don't know why that just took so much out of me to say. But the first time I felt like the joy of the Lord, like, I literally have never been happy in my entire life like that. And like, once you feel that for the first time, it's like you just keep wanting to feel that.
Yeah.
And like, that's why I love the way Pastor Brandon evangelizes. Because, like, I love going out and I love evangelizing, too, because I want people to feel what I feel.
Yeah.
You know, I want people to feel what, like, my mom has felt. I want people to feel what everybody has felt with their walk with God. Because, you're going to go through trials. You're going to be tested. God will step back. But it's so much better. You feel so much happier because it's like there's 10, okay? And then, like, when you're in sin and when you're doing bad things, then it's like your pain and your suffering is a 10. And then you only have like 5% of being happy, you know? And then like when you're in the gospel and you're praising the Lord, then it's like your pain is like a 5 and your joy is a 10. Do you know what I'm trying to say? I don't know how to explain that, but like that's what I'm trying to say. It's like the good things, good things, when you feel happy, it's happy.
Yeah, joy. Yeah.
But like when you're feeling down, it's just like it's going to go away.
Yeah.
It's going to go away.
Yeah, and we have like we have a standard. We have the Bible. You know, like I feel like I often feel like just so bad for people that go through like trials and tribulations because I'm like, we have the word. Like we at least have promises.
Seriously.
We at least have like the Holy Spirit. We have like worship. We have like godly friendships that we can like lean on. We have our pastors. Like the world, like what do they have to lean on? You know, whenever they go through things, it's like, or whenever someone gets a bad report from the hospital or like you like what do they have to lean on? Just whatever the doctor says. You know what I mean? Seriously. And so like I'm always just so thankful for the word of God because I'm like I at least have something that like gives me a promise. You know, I have like the word of the Lord.
Right.
You know?
Like I feel like the Bible is literally just like the basic, like the guide to life. It's literally the guide to life.
Yes.
Like once you're filled with it, like the wisdom and knowledge it brings, like you're literally filled with God. Like that's the Lord's word, like right there in front of us that you're reading. Like it's like the basic guide to life. Like that's literally
No, it really is. It's like an instruction manual.
Exactly.
For how to live your life.
It's all you need.
Yeah.
All you need.
Hi guys. You guys want to join us?
I don't even think they can. Oh, I don't think they can see it. All right. Anyway, now that we're getting sidetracked, I think we had a good podcast today.
Yes.
I enjoyed it. It was
launch?
good.
Like, where do
YouTube.
On YouTube.
Okay.
Yeah. Juicebox Ministries, I think.
Like what day or what? Cause
It's whenever Steven edits and posts.
Oh, okay. So Steven edit the post and upload it so I can watch it again or whatever.
Right. All right.
I don't think I've ever seen.
I've watched them. I've binged like 3 of them when they first started coming out.
Yeah.
It's like I don't really want to hear myself talk. Like my voice is
it's
so
like
different on
cringe.
camera.
Like,
I'm just
I
like,
don't want
why'd you say that? Take it back. Take it back.
Well, thank you guys for having me.
Of course. Thank you for being on it. So we do this thing at the end where we go, stay juicy on 3. 1, 2, 3, stay juicy. So you gotta
Say juice?
Stay juicy.
Stay juicy.
Stay
Like,
juicy.
yeah.
Stay juicy.
Okay,
Yeah.
so stay juicy.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So stay juicy on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Stay juicy.